welcome everyone in our weekly live Q&A where you can ask any of your health and fitness questions here, and I will get to them and answer them best of my abilities. If you're watching the replay, always feel free to throw your questions in the comments. We'll cover them on the following week's live session. What I wanted to open with today is a common theme that we talk about, looking at our processes rather than our outcome goals. There's another few reasons for this importance. So if we only focus on outcomes, it's easy to get distracted on that because that's what most people celebrate. Most people don't celebrate you during the process, and more importantly, there's less celebration on the maintenance of that outcome afterwards. And the challenge is that if we only focus on the outcome, we start going kind of with that any means necessary philosophy to get to that outcome. And the challenge is that leaves us kind of high and dry in finding a way to maintain that accomplishment. Whereas when we focus on our process, the steps that it takes to reasonably accomplish that outcome, but more importantly, put in place the processes and the habits and the lifestyle that will keep, maintain, and sustain that goal going beyond the accomplishment of the goal. So that's a big thing to keep in mind, because it's hard because, again, it's an element that is rarely praised, but it is more vital to the achievement of the outcome goal and the maintenance of that accomplishment beyond just that initial, I got there, I got to my goal weight, or I got to my goal strength level. But if you didn't put in the established, this is how frequently I'm going to work out, this is how I'm going to eat, these are the habits that I'm okay sticking with going forward, it's going to be very difficult to sustain that accomplishment much more than a couple weeks to maybe a couple months at most before things start causing us to get off track. Whereas if you focus on your process of, I can manage 3 days of workouts and I'll focus on moving my body the other days in whatever way I want to. And I'm going to focus on controlling my eating by prioritizing protein with every meal, adding a vegetable along with it, and then building my meals after that if I need more. It's easier to maintain your portion control. It's easier to avoid diet fatigue and just burnout with it because you don't have to feel like you're missing out on anything. You're just reprioritizing how much of what you have. So by building realistic, sustainable foundation habits and processes, not only do you get to your goal, but you've laid the groundwork of how do I keep this going afterwards? And that is one of the most common challenges and struggles I see with a lot of clients. A good amount of the people that come in, they've had good progress in the past with different programs. It's just that none of them really showed them how to keep the progress that they achieved long term, because very many programs out there emphasize how quickly can we get you there. We can do it in 30, 60, 90 days at most is typically what's marketed right now when it comes to exercise, diet, or combination plans. But none of them really do a good job of emphasizing these are the long-term habits that we want to be building so you can keep that progress. And some of those programs, they have their place. They're great when you're trying to get to a certain physique for special events like weddings, summer vacations, reunions, short term, like I just need to look great for this one day, week at most. It's easier to tough out when you got that mindset into it. But after that day or week is done, we tend to go back to the previous habits that got us into the shape that we weren't overly happy in the first place with. That's why we went to pursue those changes in the first place. So, yes, it's great that you can lose weight really, really quick and be, picture ready for special events. But if you don't know how to realistically sustain that, because the steps that it took to get you to that picture ready day, you hated every minute of it and you were just counting down the days until you're done, you're probably not going to keep doing what got you there. You're going to revert back. And then eventually you're going to find yourself not where you want to be and repeat the process. And unfortunately, you can only do that so many times before we start really causing some major physiological metabolic backlash to where now nothing's really working the way it used to when it comes to seeing weight loss. And that's usually when we finally see people come into our doors where they're like, everything that I've tried in the past doesn't work anymore. I don't know what to do. I can't starve myself any less than I've already been trying, and it just isn't working. And we kind of have to reset everything. And now it takes a little bit longer because now we have to retrain the body's metabolic responses. Sometimes we have to retrain movements because some of those extreme workouts usually cause some unwanted wear and tear, muscle imbalances, or injuries. And we can still get progress, but it's going to take a little bit longer because there's more of a foundational reset that we have to go through with someone. Whereas if from the first steps out of the gate you decide, yes, I want to look good for this event, but I want to build habits that are going to keep me looking that good for a longer duration of time, if not life. So what steps do I need to take with that? And those are the things that you have to look at. And the plan that you put in place has to be something that you are okay with continuing to do, or we need to kind of reset some expectations, reset focus, or reset our timeline for when we want to be at that goal. Because if we're not willing to do certain things, it is going to take longer. That's the reason why most rapid weight loss programs are very restrictive in your consumption and very demanding in your output because they're kind of trying to amplify both spectrums of that part to get the most results in the shortest amount of time. And like I said, they work, they're effective. That's the reason why their marketing does so well. But long-term maintenance is difficult because either you can't fit those things in your schedule or you're just miserable, every moment of the program because you're not enjoying what you're allowed to eat. You have to commit way more time than what you realistically can continue committing to your exercise and your workouts, and it's just not sustainable. So keep that in mind as you're looking at options, and keep that in mind if you're finding yourself stuck where the things that have worked in the past aren't working anymore. We got to look at some resets, refocus the process for you, and get you a program that actually will help kickstart the body back into the changes that you want to see. It can be done. It does take time and it does take lifestyle changes and processes, not another quick fix turnaround program. Few things to think about. Keep that in mind. If you want to discuss further, message us, reach out. More than happy to help and have a deeper discussion with you individually to see what works best for you to help see that permanent change going long term. In the meantime, have a wonderful week and remember to stay consistent in your persistent pursuit of health.